What is going on, fellas? This is War Thunder Update Air Superiority, bringing two highly anticipated vehicles, the F-15 and the Su-27. We're going to be taking a look at just these two today. I will be covering more in the future, and the future isn't very, very soon. I'll be probably putting one out tomorrow, and then maybe early into the next week. Holiday season is right around the corner, so if you want to get yourself or somebody you know a really cool present, visit Air Models, check them out. They have some really cool models. I have the Su-35 myself. Maybe you want to get the Su-27 or the F-15, considering they're just now coming out in War Thunder. And if you use my link in the description down below, you will be directly supporting me, and you'll get something pretty cool in return. And it would really make my day if you guys subscribe to the channel. I really want to get to 25,000 by the end of the year. You guys smashed it on the last video, killed it. Well over 1,000 subs in that last video. So really, a subscription would mean the world to me. Now let's talk about the planes on the screen here. First and foremost, this is the very first dev server, so it is highly probable that many or all of these aircraft are going to have flight model changes or weapon changes of some kind before they're added to the live server. You can pretty much count on that, and so I wouldn't necessarily take this video as exactly what these planes are going to look like for the actual update. And for example, the F-15, the Su-27, the Gripen, I'm pretty sure most of these radars and maybe even the RWRs are work in progress, so they're not done by any means at all. This video is really just me flying around with Jube. I'm in the F-15 right now. We'll switch. I'll be in the Su-27 in the second half of the video, and we're just playing around in the 1v1, seeing what these jets are like. We're not really going to be talking a whole lot about the 1v1. I'll wait for that to actually be a live server thing so that it's a little bit more official. But for now, let's talk about the loadouts. That's the first thing I want to discuss here. The reason being, I can definitely see these loadouts probably being finalized. I really don't think there's going to be any changes between the Su-27 and the F-15. Maybe the Japanese F-15, the AAM-3 might get a little bit of a buff, because as it is currently, it literally doesn't pull any harder than the AIM-9M, even though it does have 10 extra G on the stat card. That doesn't actually translate into anything in practice. So if anything, I anticipate possibly an AAM-3 buff, but other than that, I highly expect these loadouts to be implemented onto the live server for these two aircraft specifically. Which, to be quite honest with you, is a real tragedy, because the Su-27 carrying 6 R-27ERs, or 4 ERs and 2 ETs, along with an additional 4 R-73s to go with it. That's 10 missiles in total, and it's 10 of the best missiles in the entire game in total on a single aircraft. Flight performance wise, neither of these planes are necessarily a slouch by any means, but they're definitely not the absolute best top tier dogfighters. The Su-27 specifically is better than the F-15 in a 1v1 scenario, at least against an F-15. But again, it is not the best dogfighter in the game either. At least, of course, for the time being, this is the first dev server. But again, back to the loadouts. The F-15, on the other hand, has 4 AIM-9Ms and 4 AIM-7M Sparrows, which really is not that impressive in the slightest anymore. The AIM-9M was a pretty cool missile to have when you only had to worry about 2 R-27s on a single plane, but now that you have 10 possible missiles on an Su-27, and we really just gotta hope that the other team isn't full of Su-27s, because that's pretty problematic. This loadout in particular is not bad, but it's really nothing special. It's just kind of in the average range of loadouts for current top tier ARB. Whereas there's pretty much obviously no way you could make an argument that any other plane in the game has a better loadout right now than the Su-27 does. So that's pretty cool for the Su-27. One thing I do really like about the F-15 though, that the Su-27 doesn't actually have, kinda does, kinda not really, is the amount of countermeasures. The Su-27 sure has a lot of countermeasures. It's enough for a normal ARB match, at least in the current ARB match, but the F-15 on the other hand has 120 of each countermeasure type on mixed, so that's 240 total countermeasures. So that's really helpful, especially with IRCCM missiles and the just pure size of top tier ARB matches. You're really not going to be running out of countermeasures that easily. I would like to be able to tell you how the AIM-7s feel on the F-15, because, well, obviously the AIM-7, as I said, it's not really good, but it's not bad either. It's pretty average at this point for a top tier missile. But like any radar missile, could be made better or worse depending on what the radar is that's guiding it. And, well, we have a placeholder radar, so I really can't say right now. I would like to point out that the F-15A we have in the game right now technically doesn't even exist. We're going to get a little bit nerdy here for a minute, but this F-15 is kind of a combination of a couple different variations of F-15. we have the flares on an F-15A, which means it's got the MSIP upgrade, but it also doesn't have the radar or anything else that came with the upgrade for the MSIP that basically would make it an F-16C. So as long as I got everything straight, it gets a little bit confusing at times, so excuse me if I have something wrong here, but the F-15 we have in game could technically receive better engines and a better radar considering it has the MSIP flares, but that's just not what Gaijin's going to do. I think they know what they're doing, and it's probably pretty intentional that they gave it this kind of Frankenstein F-15 loadout. Jumping back over to the Su-27 a little bit, since that's what's on screen here, you have some pretty exceptional flight performance, at least on this first F server. And the reason why I'm alluding to that again is because you get HMDR 73. So unlike the MiG-29, where you have HMDR 73, but you're on a pretty shitty flight model, well, your flight model is actually pretty damn good. So it lets you use HMD even more effectively, and planes that you technically can't really beat in a 1v1, you can because of the HMDR 73 alone. The sheer amount of missiles and the type of missiles make this thing just by far better than everything else in top tier for loadouts, and it is pretty obvious to me without even seeing this on the live server with what we have right now. If this were to come to the live server in this state, it's going to rule top tier. You want as many Su-27s on your team as possible, and that's definitely going to give you the best chance at winning the match. Flight performance is pretty cool and all, I guess, but it really doesn't matter that much in 16 versus 16 top tier, so long as it's good enough. Like, you can stay fast, you can make a couple of turns and get your speed back relatively easily. The sustained dogfight flight performance is not a huge deal anymore. 6 R-27 ERs is absolutely comical, and that is what it's going to be stuck with for the remainder of its life. This Su-27 specifically cannot have access to R-77s. It never received them. It was never capable of using them. So this Su-27 is only going to have R-27 ERs. You better get used to that. Not that they're bad missiles by any means, but when Fox 3 missiles do come in either the next update or the following one, according to Gaijin anyway, then we're going to have a new Su-27 to carry the R-77s. I apologize for never showing it in the video. It's probably highly anticipated, but yes, the Su-27 can do the famous Cobra maneuver, and it can be funny sometimes to get some R-73s off with it if you're a full real control user, if you like using mouse joystick and you want to throw your plane into a Cobra just to get that last little bit of angle to get an R-73 shot. You absolutely can do that. Do that with some caution, of course. You're going to lose a lot of energy. You're going to basically throw away the rest of your ability to dogfight somebody, and especially so if you're dealing with multiple targets at once. It's really just not a great idea. That's pretty much it for now, at least on these two aircraft. Again, I'll put the next ones out over the course of the next couple of days. It's going to be the same kind of style. I just want you guys to be able to see some gameplay. It's kind of crazy to even think that these things are being added to War Thunder, but here they are, and well, we'll just have to see what happens. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you think of these two aircraft down in the comments below. My favorite is by far the F-15, favorite jet of all time, but I do like the Su-27 as well, so I want both of them to be good, not necessarily one being too overpowered or too meta like what I think the Su-27 is right now. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and I will see you later. Thanks for watching.